Oh, hello YouTube. How you doing? Must be time for an update on the C10. Okay. Last time you saw this spot was empty. There was nothing here. And now what we have is a fully machined, new crank, new pistons, 383 40 over. And what I'm getting ready to do now is to paint the block. I don't want black. I know a lot of Chevy is black. We're going to have an orange block. So what I'm doing here is outlining the exhaust ports so that I can mask them off. And you say, well, how can you do that? Well, this tape that I'm using is transparent. You can see through it. You can see the black line through it. So I don't know, that's not transparent. It's not translucent. I don't know. I'm stumped. I'll have to look it up. So I go like that. And there we go. So I'm prepping this side for paint. The other side's already done. The oil pan has been powder coated orange. The valve covers we haven't decided what to do with yet. The timing cover is powder coated orange. And I just finished doing the intake. And I'll take you down there and I'll show it to you. Oh my gosh, it's gone. Where could it have gone? Let's take a look. Oh, I've got a clue. We got paint. Interesting thing about this paint and other enamel paints that I've read the directions on, it says that you have to apply each coat no earlier than 10 minutes apart. So you put your first coat on, you wait 10 minutes, you put your next coat on. Then you wait 10 minutes, you put your next coat on. Well, then the next thing that happens is they say put 2 light coats on and 1 medium coat on. So that's 30 minutes. Then if you go on to read, it says apply all coats within 1 hour. Now, if I'm applying color, you would think you'd let the primer dry. But what it says is apply engine enamel color coats within the hour according to the application on this can. So that means if I'm going to put 2 light coats of primer and a medium coat of primer, that's 30 minutes, and then 2 light coats of the color and then a medium coat, that's another 30 minutes. That's a total of an hour. I've used up the whole hour. So I think I'm going to do 2 light coats of primer and then start with my color because I may want to put more color coats on. So now let's go see if we can find the motor. There it is. Now just so you know, you haven't missed out on the assembly of the engine. Because this is just mocked together. All it is the heads and the pan and the timing cover bolted on so that I can paint the block. And then I'm going to take it all apart and we're going to watch the assembly later on. Well, it's back in a spot, and it's been about an hour or so, so it's supposedly dry to the touch. Time to start peeling off some masking tape here and see what we got. I think we're going to end up with a real sleeper. Well, we don't want anything to fall in that big hole, do we? There we go. I tell you, that's a pretty darn good match. So now we got to take the timing cover off and the oil pan off and strip the tape off of that. Oh, we don't want anything to fall in there, do we? We should put this on there. There you go, real sleeper. Uh-huh. There we go. And now it's time to take the heads off and do it for real. Hello there, YouTube. I find that removing the masking tape is one of the most satisfying parts of a paint job. It kind of reveals what it's going to look like, although there'll be a set of headers here. So that'll certainly make it look good. I'm very happy with this yellow tape. It works really nice. I used to be a fan of the blue tape, but now I like the yellow tape. Anybody want a good set of spark plugs? I think they've still got mileage left in them if you clean them up a little bit. I'm half tempted just to keep all these bolts for painting Chevrolet small blocks. Before I put those spark plugs in or put these bolts in, I put a little dab of anti-seize on them so that we wouldn't have any galling. But now that looks kind of nice. And this is not very long since I painted it. I'm really surprised how quickly it dried. Well, on to the next step, okay? The next job is to put the cam in. In order to do that, we have to take some things apart, like the intake. Now, I don't think it's necessary, but we're going to take the heads off again. And what we're going to do is put the cam in. So I'll set that up. Well, I'm sorry to say that this cam has defects in it. But what I want to do is at least slide it in and check for clearance between cam load and rotating assembly in the bottom end. I talked to Edelbrock and they guarantee it for all the manufactured displacements, but 383 is not a manufactured displacement. And there can be an interference between the lobe of the cam and the rotating assembly in the bottom end of the short block. So what I like to do is take this cam out. We'll oil up the bearing surfaces, and I did say oil. because what the directions say is coat cam lobes with fresh clean oil, lubricate distributor drive of cam with assembly lube. They don't really tell you what to do with the bearings, and I do have a call in. I would think that you would normally put assembly lube on the bearings, but because I'm going to just put it in and take it out, I'm going to just put on oil. You'll be very careful and slide it in. So let's do that. Here, let me show you what's wrong with the cam. Those spots are all over this side of the cam. And you would think it's just grease, but it doesn't come off. And I took lacquer cleaner to it, and on this lobe you can see all the grease and stuff has been cleaned away, but the surface itself is pitted. So, long story. I called up Summit, and Summit agrees that it's defective. So the problem is they're back ordered and don't expect anything until December 5th. So what they did is credited me for the cost of this individual part once I return this part. And I found on Amazon.com one left. So I ordered that up, and that's supposed to be here Tuesday. So thank goodness we didn't have to wait for Summit till December 5th, and Edelbrock has nothing in stock. So let's oil up these journals and put it in the motor, because what I want to do is check clearance between the cam lobes and the rotating assembly in the block. Now I don't have a fancy installation tool, but a threaded rod works really well. You don't need it, but it really helps put the cam in without nicking anything. So let's go slide this in. So now we've got the cam in, and what we want to do is put the timing chain on and get the components timed together so that we can rotate it very carefully and make sure there's clearance between the cam and the rotating assembly. So what we have to do in order to check the clearance between the rotating assembly and the camshaft is actually put the camshaft in, put the rotating assembly in, time the rotating assembly to the camshaft, and then rotate the motor over slowly to see if we have any contact anywhere. We shouldn't have. Now I have to admit that I've already timed this thing, so it shouldn't take me too terrible long to get the marks to be lined up correctly. Like so. And I'll show that to you right now. So this is the front of the motor. And ideally what you want is the center line of this bolt, that mark, and that bolt to line up. So if we take a ruler and line up the marks, we can see that we're pretty much dead center on everything. That tells us that the rotating assembly and the camshaft are timed together. And we don't know whether it is on top dead center or 180 degrees out. And that would be either on the compression stroke or the exhaust stroke. And we'll know that when we put the heads on. We can put our thumb over the spark plug hole and find the compression stroke, and then we'll know top dead center. We can put the distributor in, and theoretically we won't have any backfires through the carburetor because we're 180 degrees out. Okay, so now we're back, and we'll pull the bolt in here just to make sure this thing doesn't come apart. And what we're going to do is rotate this motor over slowly to make sure we don't have any contact, and we'll take a flashlight and we'll watch down inside here in the motor. We can see the cam turning. Everything seems to be clearing real nice. No contact. I don't hear anything. I think we're good. By the way, I really like this socket. It goes on the end of the crankshaft, and you can turn the direction either way without having to worry about the bolt coming out. Well guys, I got to pull this camshaft out, get it cleaned up, boxed up, and sent back to Summit so I can get my credit. Amazon has one. It was the last one in stock, and it is on the way here and will be here on Tuesday. So there won't be too much of a delay. I think what I'll do is I'll start with the heads. What I want to do is make sure that I can get the lifters in while the heads are on the block. I know Ford that can be a problem, but maybe Chevrolet is not. Okay, that's it for now. There'll be more later.